Twitch presents our next big thing. Something long promised, but never delivered. Getting paid for using Twitter. For how many long years have you toiled for free on this God-forsaken site? What a mess. What a shame. What could have been. But now Twitch is here to save the day yet again. You'll finally be getting paid for all your hard work.
What's up, people? Hotep Jesus. We are back with another wonderful news update. I hope everyone is well. I have great news for you today. Great news. The sponsor of the month, Syscoin, lovely people over there, shout out to the whole Syscoin team, have just launched a new NFT marketplace. For all my NFT people out there, check it out. It's called Luxy Marketplace. I'm looking at it right now. It says, we are happy to announce the completion of the much anticipated integration of Luxy Marketplace into the Syscoin ecosystem. Luxy is Syscoin's first official NFT marketplace, making this an important step in offering Syscoin users the best of everything DeFi, the best everything DeFi has to offer. The best of everything DeFi has to offer. Luxy is decentralized with a state-of-the-art user experience and feature set, which first premiered on the Polygon network on April 21st, 2022. Now, on July 13th, 2022, the integration with Syscoin's mainnet layer 1 is complete. With Syscoin, Luxy users gain the backing of Bitcoin's gold standard security, and the Luxy project gains a modular blockchain with incredible scaling potential through Syscoin's upcoming Layer 2 Rolux suite. Shout out to Syscoin. Go check them out. Big things happen over there. If you want to create a NFT and sell it, check out Syscoin. Also, shout out to our official sponsor for all things men and all things masculinity. That is Men of Order. Go check out menoforder.com right now. I'm going to be posting a blog over there later. You're going to want to check that out. I post a lot of things about mindset on there. HotepCon, August 11th through the 13th. Make sure you come hang out with us. Sponsored by Twitch. That's a commercial you've seen on here before. I'm officially on Twitch, so follow me on Twitch. Really great platform. It's pay to play, and that means you get paid off your engagement. So you pay to play, and well, if people like what you have to say, you will be rewarded monetarily. It is the official social network of getting paid to be on social media, which people believe that's the way things should be. So go check out Twitch. We got Kim Klasick, Sonny Johnson, Project Rook, and Crypto Wendy O all hosting the event at HotepCon next month. We're like days away now. We are officially days away. I hope to see you there. If you haven't gotten your ticket yet, go get your ticket. HotepNation.com. Go get your ticket. Come hang out with me. Don't you want to hang out with me? Don't you want to just like talk shit? Drink some alcohol, smoke some weed, maybe. Now you're probably gonna have some weed. And just talk about life and bonds. Get to know each other. Don't you want to do that? You don't want to see me at our party all alone, do you? Imagine if we threw a party and nobody came. Wouldn't you feel bad for me? I'm guilt tripping you into buying some Hotep Nation, Hotep content. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about today. I'm gonna try to run through this as fast as possible. Let's pull up my presentation screen here. Let's talk about AOC first. Let's just jump right into that. I'm sorry, I'm a bit unprepared because I found some information today about the whole Ray Epps thing, and I was just like diving into it, and it was just sort of distracting. Let's just say that. Okay. My computer freezing. Oh boy. Let's see. Okay, so that one's working. Is this browser working? Okay, this browser's working. All right. So I got a lot of browsers open. I'll be closing them one by one to save some computer memory. So we'll bring up the AOC video first. Where is that? Here we go. We'll take a look at this and we'll analyze this. I'll give you my thoughts and how I feel about this entire situation. Can we talk about how amazing AOC looks? Oh my God. All right. Damn it. That woman. I love AOC. I absolutely adore AOC.
See,
I want to cuddle with AOC. That's it. That's all. I just want to cuddle. AOC, if you're out there and you ever need a cuddle, I'm here to cuddle with you. Anyway, let's take a look at this. I'm going to whisper Thomas Sowell and Walter E. Williams in your ear as you sleep. When you wake up, you will be a capitalist just like me. Anyway, let's take a look at the clip. I'm sorry, people. AOC is just my weak spot. Let's
see, my favorite.
In fact, if you're a black man, most Latinos, fine Latinos, are going to be your weak spot. It's just a black man's weak. It's just a fine Latino. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Big booty Latina. I love you, AOC. You're my.
Now that's just inappropriate. This just right away. This is inappropriate. If I was there, I would have been AOC's bodyguard. She would have not have dealt with this troll. I would have protected her. I would have been the white knight in shining Hotep armor. And he would have been dealing with me. I'm not saying I would have been violent because I don't believe I would have been violent, but I would have ran some cover. I would have distracted him. He would have been arguing with me. You don't talk to my boo like that. First of all, you don't talk to women like that. You don't just go, hey, big booty. Like, who does that? Where in the world? This is what's wrong with y'all. This is why I did a video on why feminism exists. This idiot is why feminism exists. Why would you do that? Why would you talk to a woman like that? Well, like, how old are you? And that's not even an age thing. Just like, where do you come from that you think it's okay? This is behavior for the strip club. This is not something for a congresswoman. This is not something for a distinguished gentleman. This is just poor behavior.
My favorite. She wants to kill babies, but she's still beautiful. You look very beautiful in that dress. You look very sexy. Look at that booty on AOC.
You don't just call a woman you don't know sexy either. These are not the words. You say, hey, you look great today. I hope you have a wonderful day. And you go on about your business, okay? You don't comment on her body parts. You don't call her sexy. What is wrong with y'all?
See, that's my favorite big booty Latina.
Now, I understand, people are trolls and they're comedians and they're grifting and they want to do things to go viral. I understand that. I just don't like this one. I think it's tasteless. It's just my personal opinion. You don't have to like it. You don't have to like my opinion. It's just my personal opinion. I think it's really tasteless to act like this. Yeah, of course, he's a troll. I get it. Still don't like it. It's just corny. Troll on something else. Troll a man. Don't do big booty. Like, I get it. The trolling thing. Sorry, I'm just a little too mature for that. Anyway,
Why don't you do a little selfie?
I love it. My favorite AOC. Nice to meet you.
So she poses here for the selfie. Right? We saw that. And people are going to use that against her. Let's read her tweet. It says, I posted about a deeply disgusting incident that happened today on the Capitol's desk, but it took down because it's clearly someone seeking extremist fame. But I think she said I took it down. It's just a bummer to work in an institution that openly allowed this, but talking about it only invites more. Just really sad. Here's a video he posted of the incident. I was actually walking over to deck him because if no one will protect us, then I'll do it myself. But I needed to catch a vote more than a case today. So this is condensed. There's a lot here, and let's unpack it all. First things first. People are going to criticize her and say, well, if you posed for the selfie, obviously you weren't that offended. And that's just not the right response. It's not about accuracy. It's about what you can prove at that point. And honestly, you can't really tell people how they grieve and how they deal with situations, because there's sometimes, there's situations where people have been put in uncomfortable situations. People have said uncomfortable things to them. But because it's spur of the moment, they're caught off guard. They might laugh it off. It could be a off-color joke, and people laugh it off. And later on, they're like, wait, hold on, I kind of offended. I was kind of uncomfortable in that situation. So in the spur of the moment, you're not really sure how to act. Especially when people have cameras around. So I can't ride with the whole, AOC is looking for attention, blah, 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 blah. Personally, I think she should have decked them. I think that was the appropriate response for a congresswoman. That would have been really awesome to see. Because you just don't talk to women like that. However, let's see what else. So yeah, people would say, oh, she threw up the peace sign. She did that. Maybe that's just how she awkwardly dealt with this situation. How would you feel if somebody talked to your mom, your sister, your cousin, niece, and was like, hey, look at your big booty niece? Like, you would not be cool with that at all. That is sexual harassment. And that's not cool. That's just not cool. It's uncouth. It is not gentlemanlike. If you ever read my book, The Unbreakable Rules of Masculinity, I wrote a book on masculinity. And in that book, it says to be a gentleman, a gentleman. And I think that's something that we need to practice. If we did that, if men acted like men, feminism wouldn't exist. Say it again. If men acted like men, feminism wouldn't exist. Right? I love women. I absolutely believe that women should be protected, and anybody who disagrees with me, I believe you're gay. You like men more than you like women, and that's okay. And that's okay. I have gay friends. There's nothing wrong with being gay, right? And when you're ready to talk about it, you can talk about it. But until then, I personally view you as a homosexual. If you don't love women, you're a homosexual. This is what it is. So yeah, let's I believe we've exhausted this AOC topic. Let's move on to the and I'll get to super chats later. Let's move on to Mr. Ray Epps. Okay, so I'm waiting on the FBI transcripts. Apparently they had an interview. New York Times was able to track down this Mr. Ray Epps guy, the mystery man. People have been wanting to see him in court. Jan 6 hearings, they want some answers. And when I first read this article, the first thing I noticed was, wow, they're awfully nice to this gentleman. The New York Times is awfully nice to this gentleman. It almost seems like they're running cover for this gentleman. It's like, okay, fine, these people won't stop talking about this gentleman. So how do we capture the SEO? How do we capture the Google search results? How do we capture the search engine results? How do we take control of the keyword string Ray Epps Jan 6? So let's dive into it. So this is a copy on D News. Show you the logo here, D News. And I believe it's from the New York Times. Let me fact check myself really fast. Yes, New York Times. Okay, so it says, in the Rocky Mountains, up a winding country road in a trailer park, a half mile from Cattle Ranch, lives a man whose life has been ruined by a Jan 6 conspiracy theory. So this is how they begin the article. His life has been ruined. He shouldn't have had his ass there. He shouldn't have said what he said. What do you mean? Anyway, let's continue. Ray Epps has suffered enormously in the past 10 months as right-wing media figures and Republican politicians have basically described him as a covert government agent who helped to instigate the attack on the Capitol last year. So let's go here. Let's highlight this. Whose life has been ruined. They're really going to rub it in. Suffered enormously. Like, they're rubbing it in so early in this article. It's just so blatantly obvious what they're trying to do and how they're trying to shape the mind that views Ray Epps. I can't trust this interview. I don't trust this interview. Strangers have assailed him as a coward. So, strangers have assailed him, again, making him appear to be a victim. This giant of a white man appearing to be a victim. As a coward and traitor, and have menacingly cautioned him to sleep with one eye open. So there's death threats, apparently. He was forced to sell his business and his home in Arizona. Fearing for his safety and uncertain of his future, he and his wife moved into a mobile home in the foothills of the Rockies. With all their belongings crammed. They're so good at this. Right? These descriptive words. It's almost like they're writing fiction. With all of their belongings crammed into shipping containers in a high desert meadow a mile or two away. And for what? Lies? Mr. Epps asked the other day with a look of pained exhaustion. He has pained exhaustion. All of this, it's just been hell. What? People talking shit about you online? Let's see what else happened to him, because maybe he really is a victim. Maybe I could be completely wrong. Almost from the moment that a violent mob stormed the Capitol on Jan 6, 2021, allies of former President Donald J. Trump, Mr. 4-5 himself, have sought to shift the blame for the attack away from the people who were in the pro-Trump crowd that day to any number of scapegoats. So that's what they're trying to claim. They're trying to claim that the pro-Trump crowd was trying to find scapegoats for Jan 6. I don't think that's quite accurate. That seems to be misleading. First, they pointed at Antifa, the leftist activists who have a history of clashing with Mr. Trump's backers, but who did not show up when the Capitol was breached. Yeah? Okay. Let's dive down that rabbit hole. First, let's go to the fact checkers. This is USA Today. Fact check. Misleading claim about Antifa member at Jan 6 Capitol riot. Okay. What do you say about this? It says right here, fact check. Journalist who filmed U.S. Capitol rioter not employed by CNN. Okay, good. PolitiFact, an independent fact-checking organization, reported in January that Sullivan's social media accounts frequently used hashtags associated with anti-fascist and Black Lives Matter activists. He described himself as a Trump opponent and supporter of the Black Lives Matter movement. Okay, let's go back. Have a history of clashing with Mr. Trump's backers. Described himself as an opponent of Trump opponent. All of this seems to be lining up with what the fact checkers are saying. So we're going to we're going to fact check the fact checkers. Okay? Now, they also use this term anti-fascist. Right? And what they're saying is that you'll see, they'll say he's not a member of Antifa. But I had a debate with a friend once, and the friend told me, well, Antifa is a loose organization. It's not even a real organization. There is no membership per se. That's what they'll say, right? And I'm not even going to challenge that, because that point is arbitrary to what is actually happening on the ground. When you look at their actions, it looks very organized. Okay. Now, organized chaos, I should say. Now, another thing. They say he's not a member. It says, but Sullivan has repeatedly denied being associated with Antifa groups. It says that right here, right? Okay, but what is Antifa? Biden, according to people that write his script, says Antifa is just an idea. It's just an idea. If Antifa is an idea and the boy is hashtagging Antifa on his social media posts, and he's an anti-Trump supporter, and he's anti-Trump, well, he's associated. Let's stop. Let's stop with the BS. So first fact check, false. Failed. Let's go to the next one. It says, then they tried to fault the FBI, which, according to those who spread the baseless tale, planned the attack to provoke a crackdown on conservatives. See, what you got to do is you got to be careful with these people, because they'll take something obscure and try to make it really specific. They'll try to take something ambiguous and make it real. Something that's ambiguous and try to make it unambiguous. That's what they'll try to do. Right? So here they'll be very specific and say, planned an attack to provoke a crackdown on conservatives. Why can't it be multiple reasons why they planned the attack? Why does it have to be one reason? And was the FBI involved? Well, let's go ahead and dive down that rabbit hole right now. Wait, hold on. I got more on Mr. Sullivan. Hold on, let me close this. Actually, let's go to the FBI. We're going to go back to Sullivan. Says right here, Proud Boys leader was prolific informer for law enforcement. This is Reuters. It says right there. They even quoted it. They put quotes around prolific to let you know how great he was at his job of being an informer. And it says right here, for federal and local law enforcement. And he was there at Jan 6, and they extracted him the day before, the day of, I forget which one it was, but they extracted him. What are you talking about? In Miami hearing, a federal prosecutor, a federal Bureau of Investigation agent, and Tara's own lawyer described his undercover work and said he had helped authorities prosecute more than a dozen people in various cases involving drugs, gambling, and human smuggling. This is Reuters from a Miami hearing with a federal prosecutor, with the FBI agent sitting right there, with Tarrio's own lawyer sitting right there, and they all agree that he did undercover work in more than to prosecute more than a dozen people in various cases involving drugs, gambling, and human smuggling. Fact checkers, guess what? Oh my God. And we just started reading. What else do we got on Mr. Sullivan? Heidi right here says John Sullivan is a known agitator. This is Heidi Hatch at KUTV. I don't even know what KUTV, where is this? Utah? I think this is a Utah. Yeah, this is a Utah news caster, news lady, whatever you call them. John Sullivan, a known agitator and protester from Utah, has been detained tonight in Washington, D.C. He broke into the U.S. Capitol yesterday and was recorded just outside the chambers where a woman was shot. So she describes him as a known agitator and protester. So they know about this dude. This ain't no. So let's go back. It says right here, planned the attack to provoke crackdown on conservatives. It says right here, shift the blame for the attack away from people who were in the pro-Trump crowd to any number of scapegoats. Well, who is this with the Proud Boys? Wait. Oh, I got a lot of notes on Mr. Sullivan. I'm sorry. We got to dive into the life of Mr. Sullivan. I forgot I made these notes. Damn. Okay, let's dive into it. John Sullivan, who filmed shooting of Ashley Babbitt in the Capitol, detained on federal charges. So it says right here, according to affidavit submitted to a federal court in Washington, D.C., the FBI determined that Sullivan was not an observer, but a participant in the riot. This is what FIBA said, based on nearly 90 minutes of raw footage. Let's continue. It says here, At the time, left-wing organizers have been keen to stress that they ejected Sullivan from their ranks months ago, accusing him of being either a right-wing infiltrator or a dangerously naive amateur. So they're going to try and make it believe that there weren't people trying to infiltrate the ranks of the right wing. Meanwhile, Mr. Sullivan, by his own people and recorded by The Intercept, have described him as a right-wing infiltrator. It says right here, at one point highlighted in a federal complaint, Sullivan can even be heard trying to convince police officers to abandon their posts and let the rioters seize the House chamber. And you'll see in this article, they're going to tell you Antifa had nothing to do with this. Well, maybe not Antifa, but Mr. Sullivan he not clean. He not clean. But while it's true that Sullivan in Utah, a former elite speed skater, Uber driver, and cybersecurity salesman who reinvented himself as a self-described black liberation activist last year, did witness the shooting of Ashley Babbitt. Yes, he was right there, which means he was leading the pack into the Capitol building because Ashley Babbitt was right there on the front lines. That's why she was the first one to get hit. We know this because Sullivan, who began calling himself Activist John last summer when he organized a chaotic protest for racial justice that led Black Lives Matter Utah to denounce him, filmed almost every step he took inside the Capitol on his phone and posted the unedited footage on his Jaden X YouTube channel. So right here it says he organized radical protests. Chaotic protests, as they say. But then in the very next sentence, they say watching Sullivan's footage makes it obvious that he was not leading, but following the rioters as they made their way through the police lines in the Capitol. Right? So there they go. They throw you bail. This is why they're slick, because they tell you both sides. They tell you, look, he's an organizer. Oh, but he wasn't leading this. He organized something wild last year, but he wasn't leading this. Right? Now let's look at what he said. I can't believe this. I can't believe this is reality. We accomplished this shit together. Fuck yeah, the man agreed. Fuck yeah, Sullivan replied. This is effing history. We're all a part of effing history. Let's go burn this ish down. F word. Minutes later, as the crowd swarmed around the Capitol and Sullivan rushed to join the rioters inside, he said, let's burn this ish down. But you just said he wasn't leading nothing. Sullivan even urged on the rioters through the megaphone he had previously used to speak at the racial justice protests. Get in that ish. Let's go. Move, 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 move. Storm that. That ish is ours. But you just said he wasn't leading it. But you got a transcript of him leading it. Fact checkers. Again. I'm all for. Let's say this right. Sullivan said later that his apparent joy in the riot as it unfolded was just him blending in to evade detection, but it sounded genuine and would seem to fit with his broadly anti-government leanings and his stated desire to see the U.S. government destroyed and replaced. I'm all for burning the system down and creating something better, he had said in a live stream commentary. Doesn't this sound like somebody who might lead an insurrection? And it gets worse. This is Mr. Sullivan with the Proud Boys. This is Mr. Sullivan infiltrating the Proud Boys. Hands him the megaphone. Hands him the megaphone. It says right here, at a rally outside a police station in Provo, Utah last July, John Sullivan handed the megaphone to a local member of the Proud Boys. Now let's go back to the New York Times interview. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs into this thing. We just scratched the surface of this conversation between Ray Epps and New York Times. And do you see the rabbit hole we just had to go down just to add texture to this? Let's go back. Mr. Epps, 61, was not just a bystander on Jan 6. he traveled to Washington to back Mr. Trump, was taped urging people to go to the Capitol, and was there himself on the day of the assault. So they admit it. He did urge people to go to the Capitol. But through a series of events that twisted his role, he became the face of this conspiracy theory about FIBA as it spread from the fringes to the mainstream. The fringes. They always like to use these words. Like, here's another one. Obscure right-wing media outlets. Obscure? What? Obscure? What? What do you mean? How can a media outlet be obscure? Anyway, obscure right-wing media outlets like Revolver News, so they're calling out Revolver News, use selectively edited videos and unfounded leaps of logic to paint him as a secret federal asset in charge of a breach team responsible for setting off the riot at the Capitol. Now, I don't know what Revolver News said, but I'm not running cover for them. And I'm not saying that their claims about Revolver News are accurate either. I have to dive down that rabbit hole, but we're not going to do that today. The stories about Mr. Epps were quickly seized on by Fox News host Tucker Carlson, who gave them a wider audience. They were also echoed by Republican members of Congress like Representative Thomas Massey of Kentucky and Senator Ted Cruz of Texas. Eventually, Mr. Trump joined the fray, mentioning Mr. Epps at one of his political rallies and lending fuel to a viral Twitter hashtag, "Who is Ray Epps?" Now, I highlighted this for a very specific reason. It's because this article and many of the left try to purport that the right is making all these claims on Ray Epps. No, they just want to know who is Ray Epps, and it's quite evident from this hashtag created by the Trumpers and purported by Donald Trump. Who is Ray Epps? We just want to know who he is. Yes, people are speculating. They're taking guesses. What else can we do if you're not providing information on this guy who we know was an agitator? Anyway, it says, after months of watching from the shadows as public figures he once respected, Mr. Trump, among them, tarred his name and destroyed his reputation. What? Mr. Epps decided that he wanted to answer that question for himself. Oh, okay. So again, painting Mr. Epps here as a victim. In a day-long interview, sitting in his air-conditioned recreational vehicle with his wife Robin and their two Shih Tzus, beside him, Mr. Epps described himself as a father, a former Marine, and staunch but disillusioned conservative whose leaders had betrayed him. He granted the interview on the condition that the location of his new home not be disclosed. So he admits that he's a disillusioned conservative. Okay. What? I am at the center of this thing, and it's the biggest farce that's ever been, he said. It's just not right. The American people are being led down a path, and I think it should be criminal. Criminal? What? To that end, Mr. Epps and his wife have been searching for a lawyer to help them file a defamation lawsuit against several people who have spread the false accounts. Should they end up doing so, they would join a list of other individuals and companies, most notably the voting machine producer Dominion Voting Systems, and using the courts to push back on the rampant disinformation that emerged again and again during Mr. Trump's efforts to overturn the election. The truth needs to come out, Mr. Epps explained, petting his dog. And I highlighted petting his dogs here because they're trying to paint him as this nice conservative. When have you ever seen a left-wing media outlet be this nice to a conservative? Man, this shit is suspicious. While Mr. Epps was a participant in some of the events that unfolded on Jan 6, the claim that he inspired the Capitol riot and a false flag plot is solely based on the fact that he has never been arrested and therefore must be under government protection. Again, you're taking what one person said or maybe a small group of people said and trying to make that seem like that's what everybody was saying. No, nobody was saying that. But scores, if not hundreds, of people who appear to have committed minor crimes that day were investigated by the FBI but have not been charged or taken into custody. Mr. Epps said that he had acted stupidly at times when he and one of his sons took a last-minute trip to Washington for Mr. Trump's speech about election fraud. But he said that he had managed to avoid arrest because he reached out to the FBI within minutes of discovering that agents wanted to speak with him and demonstrated during interviews with them. that he had spent much of his time at the Capitol seeking to calm down other rioters, an assertion supported by multiple video clips. And these video clips do show him trying to calm down rioters. Mr. Epps, who questioned the results of the election, was also interviewed twice by the House Select Committee on Jan 6. After his dealings with the panel were completed, officials released a statement saying he had told them that he never worked as an asset for or an employee of any federal law enforcement agency. So something really fast I just want to go back to. He said that he had managed to avoid arrest because he reached out to the FBI within minutes of discovering that agents wanted to speak with him. What? Wait, what? Back that up. Wait. The FBI wanted to speak with you. But how did you find out? Did the FBI come and say, hey, we'd like to speak with you, sir? Did they send a text message? Did they have some Instagram moderator DM you? How did you find out? Like, how do you just find that information out? That's what I want to know. Maybe it answers this in this article and I'm jumping the gun here, but that's a red flag for me. Anyway, one of the moments Mr. Epps said he regrets most of his stay in Washington took place the night before the Capitol attack when he joined his son and a friend for a pro-Trump rally at Black Lives Matter Plaza. During the event, he was videotaped by a right-wing provocateur encouraging people to go inside the Capitol on Jan 6 and what he described, even at the time, as a peaceful protest. The clip has been used to depict, now look, it says right here, has been used to depict Mr. Epps as a man who not only urged people to riot at the Capitol, but also then evaded prosecution. So again, remember, they love specificity. They love being very specific. Look at this. They always have to add, but also, in the word and. The clip has been used to depict Mr. Epps as a man who not only urged people to riot at the Capitol, but also then evaded prosecution. No, these are two separate things. That's a whole new sentence. That's a whole new sentence. These are two completely different accusations. Let's draw a line. So let's take a look at that clip. You know I was going to play the clip. You know we going to play the clip. It says depict him. Let's see what Mr. Epps said.
What's that say? We need to go, I'll say it. All right. We need to go in to the Capitol.
How is anybody depicting him anything other than what he's depicting himself? Do we need to hear it again? Let's hear it again.
All right. We need to go in to the Capitol.
Depict? Depict what?
We need to go, I'll say it. All right. We need to go in to the Capitol.
What do you mean depict? He said it. I just played the clip. The clip has been used to depict him. No, the clip has been used as evidence to show you what the man said. He said he wanted to go inside the Capitol. How did you miss that? How did you miss that? The Justice Department has not publicly addressed its decision to not charge him. What? Oh, my mama. Presses FBI. Oh, thank you. Canon Hotep just sent me the clip where they refused to answer if he was a FIBA agent. And I'm going to bring that up on my screen now. Give me a second. Thank you, Canon. This is why I love my team. My homies are the best. I'm going to play that in just a second. Actually, we're going to go to that right after I finish reading this. The Justice Department has not publicly addressed its decision to not charge him, but the legal definition of incitement requires a person's words to cause an immediate threat of danger, not one that could possibly occur the following day. What? 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 That's literally the definition of conspiracy. That's literally the definition of conspiracy. What are you talking about? You're saying incitement needs to happen within the same 24 hours. If you say it the day before, it's not really incitement. What? Oh, but maybe they're right. Maybe that is the let's fact check. Maybe I'll learn something today. Maybe that's exactly what it means in the legal dictionary, right? Let's see. Legal incitement. All right, let's see what the law says. But there are a few areas where speech crosses into something to determine kind of a threat, especially something which under the First Amendment is extremely hard bar. But okay, so this says nothing here. I'm sorry, I'm just going to show you what I'm looking at. This says nothing here about a time limit, and it's going to go into the case law here, but it says nothing about a time limit, right? Incitement. Linked to an incite in general, one who's present at the scene of the offense and who encourages the principal offender to commit an act that he is already inclined to commit on his own. A solicitor need not be present at the scene, but oh no, this is solicitation. Sorry. Distinction from solicitation. No, I don't want solicitation. I want incitement. Is incitement even in the dictionary? They call it solicitation. Legal incitement aimed at stopping people from diverting members offense to incite another to commit an offense. So according to legal dictionary, or at least this legal dictionary, which I don't trust too much, says in English criminal law, it is an offense to incite another to commit an offense. So this doesn't have a time limit associated with it. Solicitation does say, and I'm going to take a look at the chat because I know the chat knows probably more than crowdsource is always the bigger brain. New York Times, and they're paid. You know, New York Times is so broke they have to charge you to read their articles. Such a petty business model. Anyway, I'm done reading that article. I'm gonna pull up that clip that Cannon sent me, and let's take a look at that because this is just damning as well, right? This is just, it's really ugly. Let's just call it a spade a spade.
I want to turn to the FBI. How many FBI agents or confidential informants actively participated in the events of January 6th?
Sir, I'm sure you can appreciate that I can't go into the specifics of sources and methods.
Did any FBI agents or confidential informants actively participate in the events of January 6th? Yes or no?
Sir, I can't answer that.
Did any FBI agents or confidential informants commit crimes of violence on January 6th?
I can't answer that, sir.
Did any FBI agents or FBI informants actively encourage and incite crimes of violence on January 6th?
Sir, I can't answer that.
Ms. Sadburn, who is Ray Epps?
I'm aware of the individual, sir. I don't have the specific background to him.
Well, there are a lot of people who are understandably very concerned about Mr. Epps. On the night of January 5th, 2021, Epps wandered around the crowd that had gathered, and there's video out there of him chanting, "Tomorrow, we need to get into the Capitol, into the Capitol." This was strange behavior, so strange that the crowd began chanting, "Fed, Fed, 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 Fed." Ms. Sandburn, was Ray Epps a Fed?
Sir, I cannot answer that question.
The next day, on January 6th, Mr. Epps is seen whispering to a person, and 5 seconds later, 5 seconds after he's whispering to a person, that same person begins to forcibly tear down the barricades. Did Mr. Epps urge them to tear down the barricades?
Sir, I cannot answer that.
Sir, similar to the other answers, I cannot answer that.
Shortly thereafter, the FBI put out a public post seeking information on individuals connected with violent crimes on January 6th. Among those individuals, in the bottom there, is Mr. Epps. The FBI publicly asked for information, identifying, offering cash rewards leading to information leading to the arrest. This was posted, and then sometime later, magically, Mr. Epps disappeared from the public posting. According to public records, Mr. Epps has not been charged with anything. No one's explained why a person videoed urging people to go to the Capitol, a person whose conduct was so suspect the crowd believed he was a Fed, would magically disappear from the list of people the FBI was looking at. Ms. Sandburn, a lot of Americans are concerned that the federal government deliberately encouraged illegal and violent conduct on January 6th. My question to you, and this is not an ordinary law enforcement question, this is a question of public accountability. Did federal agents or those in service of federal agent actively encourage violent and criminal conduct on January 6th?
Sir, I cannot answer that. Beep, beep.
Not to my knowledge, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, baby. Oh, man. Cannon Hotep with the clip. Why was Ray Epps' photo removed? Why don't they talk about that in this article? Why? Now, I ain't saying there's fire surrounding Mr. Epps, but it's a whole lot of smoke. I ain't saying it's fire, but it's a whole lot of smoke. That's what I can tell you. And American people want some answers. Let's go to Super Chats. The Brooklyn Way, $4.99. Thank you. He said Sullivan was laid $35K twice for non-exclusive video footage. I was a photo agent NYC. That's not reality. And $35K is a buyout and or embargo. The actual number is $90K. $90K. And I think he had to forfeit that money to the courts as well, I believe. Anyway, I am Hotep Jesus. Subscribe to the channel. We'll be back tomorrow for another news update. I look forward to seeing you then. Hotep and build.